Rewriting Your Story: How Resilience Transforms Lives. The most powerful stories aren't the ones we're born into, they're the ones we choose to write for ourselves. I recently had the privilege of interviewing Shenile Thornton, and I must tell you, this woman is nothing short of extraordinary. Her journey isn't just inspiring, it's revolutionary. As a teacher, mentor, author, poet, and public speaker, Shenile has become a beacon of hope for countless women facing seemingly insurmountable obstacles. What makes her impact so profound is how she's transformed her deepest wounds into wisdom that heals others. She embodies the rare ability to stand in her truth while creating space for others to discover theirs, a gift our fractured world desperately needs. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, this can't be all there is? That moment when you realize the narrative you've been living doesn't have to be the one you die with, that's where transformation begins. Not with some grand epiphany, but with a quiet rebellion against the story you've been told about yourself. When I think about Chanel's journey, I'm reminded that our greatest limitations are often the ones we've internalized from others. The voices that whisper, this is all you'll ever be. The expectations that chain us to our past. The statistics that try to predict our futures. But here's what I've learned: statistics don't know a damn thing about the human spirit. Let me share something powerful with you. Black women are now the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. Despite facing higher unemployment rates and persistent discrimination, they are creating businesses at unprecedented rates. Between 2019 and 2023, Black women owned businesses saw revenue increases of 32.7%, the highest among all demographic groups tracked. That's not just economic data, that's a revolution in progress. And it's happening because women like Shenile refuse to let their circumstances define their destinies. Consider this story that mirrors Shenile's own journey. A young Black woman endured childhood abuse and became a teenage mother by 18. Society had already written her off, filed her away in that folder labeled statistics. Multiple pregnancies, limited support systems, the weight of trauma, all before she could even legally drink. But she decided her story wasn't finished. While raising 5 children alone, 5 children, she pursued education relentlessly. She sought out mentors through community organizations focused on empowering women of color. She graduated not once, not twice, but 4 times, earning her high school diploma plus 3 post secondary degrees. Today, she's an educator herself, a published author sharing her story, recognized as Mentor of the Year in her community. She runs workshops for young mothers at risk. When I hear stories like this, I can't help but think about the audacity it takes. The sheer beautiful audacity to look at a world that has already decided who you are and say, no, I decide. That's what Shenile embodies. That's the spirit she brings to every room she enters. But let's be honest about something. This kind of transformation doesn't happen in isolation. None of us rise alone. Let me share another powerful example. When we look at the remarkable rise of Black women entrepreneurs, we see a pattern. They're building networks, creating communities, lifting as they climb. Many of these founders entered entrepreneurship after negative workplace experiences rooted in discrimination or inflexible environments that didn't accommodate their full humanity. Instead of accepting those limitations, they created alternatives. They leveraged resources like community development financial institutions, specifically supporting minority entrepreneurs. They built peer mentoring circles for accountability and support. They created space where they could be fully seen and valued. The result? Significant revenue growth outpacing other groups, new jobs created within their communities, and perhaps most importantly, normalized conversations around intersectionality within professional spaces traditionally dominated by others. This isn't just business success, it's cultural transformation. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's something crucial about how this transformation happens. Mentorship networks are driving success among minority women in ways we've never seen before. Organizations focused on women's professional development have created structured mentorship programs pairing experienced leaders with emerging talent from marginalized backgrounds. They offer financial literacy workshops addressing specific needs faced by female founders. The women who participate report something remarkable: increased confidence navigating business decisions and measurable gains in securing investment, even when average loan sizes remain smaller than those offered to their male counterparts. Many of these women previously reported feeling isolated professionally before joining these networks. The combination of emotional encouragement and practical guidance became the catalyst for their advancement. And here's the beautiful part: several mentees went on to become mentors themselves, increasing representation across industries from education and public speaking, like Shenile, to tech startups and social enterprise ventures. These programs create ripple effects throughout entire communities, inspiring more inclusive workplaces and entrepreneurial ecosystems over time. This is how transformation scales. This is how individual resilience becomes collective power. A soft Black woman is a dangerous thing to underestimate. That's not just a catchy phrase, it's a truth that the world is slowly, painfully learning. When Shenile speaks about her journey, she emphasizes something profound. Softness isn't weakness, vulnerability isn't fragility. Sometimes the most revolutionary act is to embrace your full humanity in a world that tries to reduce you to a stereotype. I'm reminded of Audre Lorde's words: caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. For Black women especially, claiming space for rest, joy, and self nurturing isn't just personal, it's political. Shanile's work teaches us that true resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about honoring the breaks, the fractures, the moments when we feel we can't go on, and then finding the courage to continue anyway. But here's what we often miss in conversations about resilience: it's not just about individual grit, it's about systems and structures that either support or undermine our ability to thrive. The data is clear. Black women face unique barriers in business and employment. They receive less funding, less mentorship, less institutional support. They navigate workplaces where they're often the only one in the room. They balance professional demands with disproportionate family and community responsibilities. And yet, and yet they rise. They innovate, they create, they lead, not because the path is easy, but because they refuse to accept that it should be impossible. What Chanel Shania and women like her demonstrate is that transformation happens at the intersection of personal resilience and community support. Neither is sufficient alone. You need the internal fire, that unwavering belief that you deserve more than what life has handed you. But you also need people who see your potential, who invest in your growth, who hold space for your dreams. This is why mentorship, matters so deeply. This is why representation matters. This is why community matters. When a young Black girl sees a woman who looks like her thriving in spaces where Black women have historically been excluded, something shifts in her understanding of what's possible. When a struggling mother connects with someone who has walked her path and emerged victorious, hope becomes tangible. Shenile understands this. It's why she doesn't just share her success, she shares her struggle. She doesn't just celebrate her arrival, she illuminates the path for others. And that's the difference between success and significance. Success changes your life, significance changes lives. So, what does this mean for you? What's the actionable wisdom we can extract from Shenile's journey and the patterns we see in these remarkable stories of transformation? First, recognize that your past does not define your future. Whatever chapter you're in right now, it's not the end of your story unless you decide it is. The woman who graduated 4 times while raising 5 children alone didn't start out believing she could do it. She just refused to accept that she couldn't. Second, seek out community. None of us transform in isolation. Find the people who see your potential even when you can't. Build relationships with those who have navigated similar challenges. Create spaces where vulnerability is valued, not penalized. Third, become the mentor you needed. As you rise, reach back. Share not just your triumphs, but your struggles. Be honest about the messiness of transformation. Create pathways for others that didn't exist for you. I stand before you today not just to share these stories, but to ignite a fire. Because transformation isn't just personal, it's universal. When we rewrite our stories, we change the narrative for generations to come. I challenge you. Leave this room today and take one concrete step toward rewriting your story. Reach out to someone who inspires you. Offer your hand to someone who needs it. Start that project you've been afraid to begin. Apply for that position you've convinced yourself you are not qualified for. The poet Lucille Clifton wrote, "Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed." There's power in that celebration, not just of survival, but of the audacious choice to thrive despite everything. That's what Shenile embodies. That's what she teaches. That's the legacy she's building. And that's the invitation before each of us to rewrite the stories we've been told about ourselves, to transform our wounds into wisdom, to turn our pain into purpose. Because in the end, the most powerful story isn't the one you're born into, it's the one you choose to write for yourself. And when you write that story with courage, with community, with an unwavering belief in your own worth, you don't just change your life, you change the world. Thank you.